Okay, kia ora, Year 12s, I'm back again. Maybe you've got nothing better to do and want to study economics, that would be wonderful. So I'm going back to my price tag model. I used this in my last video and it's about laptops. And what I want to do in this video, and I'll maybe break it up into a second video, is to talk about what it means by New Zealand being a price taker and how that works in this model. So here's the model from earlier. It's showing New Zealand importing laptops. That should come as no surprise to anyone. And we want to explore this side of the equation. SW, what does that actually mean? Because when you draw the model, it is actually more appropriate to call that SW, that's an S, and that means supply world, right? We often hear this word horizontal, what's my word? Horizontal supply curve. And that happens because we say that supply is, you don't necessarily need to know this, but it's perfectly elastic at the world price, PWWP, right? And this all fits into the idea that NZ equals a price taker in the world market for trade. So any market, supply and demand, we are a price taker. And that means we don't get to choose the price. We get set the price for the world market, and then what we say is that we can import all we want, in this case, at that price. And I'll just show it here quickly. I'm going to kind of draw a quick two market model to show you how that idea of price taker comes about. So here is New Zealand. Here's us making laptops. We're not very good, so the price is really high. P, NZ, Q, NZ. Right, so no trade, everything's taking along, and then someone finds out it's really cheap to trade overseas. And when I say price taker, when we trade overseas, this is NZ, this is the world. Okay, and so what it means is that the world market is heaps more people that make laptops, like heaps of people, and there's way more customers who want them. So the world market kind of looks like this, S and D world, more or less. Imagine like a mythical place in the sky where all the countries trade laptops. And that would be the price world, and this would be the quantity world. I'm just throwing this together. And so what I'm saying is when I say price taker, we take this price. So effectively, this price here that's set by the world supply and demand, the idea of equilibrium where supply in the world equals the demand, sets the world trade price, which then becomes the price for trade in New Zealand. Okay, so we take our price from the world market, okay, and that effectively means the price in New Zealand falls, and then that's where we end up in a situation of importing, okay, because we import to meet our shortage at the world price. So that's what it means by price taker. So if we just come back to this model here, right, which is this, just a bit more elaborated, what I want to talk about is, okay, well, what does it mean by New Zealand can import, in this case, or we want at the world price? Horizontal supply, all right, perfectly elastic. What it means is this. Let's imagine, I did use this example in class today, so I'll repeat it. We've got a BYOD policy Onslow. It's actually like all around New Zealand. Lots of schools have adopted it. I think there's a few that haven't. We're not going to talk about whether it's a good idea. I'm just going to use it as an example. So with BYOD becoming introduced, how would that affect the market for laptops in New Zealand? You go to school, you've got to have a laptop to do your work. So therefore you've got to have it. It's a necessity, you'd imagine. More people are going to need to have one. More people are going to need to buy one. That means more consumers are going to need to buy one, which means more demand. I don't think that's a giant leap. So what we'll be talking about is that in New Zealand, there would be an increase in the demand for laptops. And so we show that by increasing the demand for laptops. And I'm just going to show it like this. Just as you would have shown it when you do supply and demand and you show a shift in demand to the right, we've increased demand from DNZ to DNZ1. All right, so the thing is though, we're trading, okay? So last year in year 11, if you did year 11 economics or when you first learned your supply and demand, when demand increases, the price increases because otherwise you have a shortage and consumers will bid up the price to secure the laptops. Not in this case, because remember, we are trading and New Zealand is a price taker. We, the New Zealand producers, I guess in this case, are not going to charge a higher price because consumers really want more laptops, because consumers can import laptops at the world price. So what effectively happens is the world price stays the same because I don't know if you can see over here, there's been no change in world supply and demand. The only thing that has changed is New Zealand demand in this case. No change to our supply, it's only our demand. So because it's only our demand, all that's going to happen is the world price stays the same, but the amount that is demanded now increases, not the quantity supplied. This doesn't change because there's no change here, no change in the price, and I've not said anything about supply changing. I didn't say costs to make laptops, productivity, I've said nothing about that. The only thing I talked about is the demand side. So the quantity demanded in New Zealand is going to increase from here to QD1, and that means that our shortage, which is in black, the N, QS minus QD, is going to increase from QS, which is not changed, all the way to here. Okay, and that means to meet our biggest shortage, we're going to have to increase the amount that we import. Okay, so if the demand in New Zealand changes, there is no change to the world price because we're a price taker. But what it does mean is that we now need to import more at that price. All right, so it means that there will be no change to the price, but New Zealand will import more, and we can do that. We can say to the world, yeah, we'll take your laptops. We can't say, oh, could we pay less, that type of thing. And say, sure, that's what you pay. How many do you want? And previously we said black in, but now we say, no, we want blue in N1. We need more now because our demand has increased from here to here, and our consumers want more. So to meet our bigger shortage, we need to import. Okay, and the idea of perfectly elastic is that, you know, if these New Zealand producers were like, oh, school kids are going to have laptops, we could try and get away with this by increasing the price. If they tried to increase their price, all their consumers would leave them. They'd be like, I'm not going to buy a laptop with you. I can buy it at the world price cheaper. So perfectly elastic means that the quantity demanded is perfectly responsive to a change in price. So that's kind of where we're going with that. You don't necessarily need to know that at year 12, but sometimes they talk about it. I would talk about this, okay? And the idea of New Zealand being a price taker, meaning if our supply and demand conditions change, doesn't mean our price changes. It just means the amount, in this case, that we import will change, and it will increase because there's been more demanded. All right, so that's what happens when there is a change in demand and what happens to the level of imports as a result. But key idea, price taker, it means you can import all you want, but you don't get to change the price. Okay, thanks.